Charlie, will you walk up there and see Trisha with the
They need one more?
We'll be good to go. It's going to be a fun day today. What are we giving away today? The Porsche Experience. Yeah, that'll be pretty awesome. The winner gets to go down and drive a Porsche, have lunch at the Porsche place. That's kind of fun. Now I'm not talking about just driving one around the block. That's like boring. I'm talking about going down to the track, and they're going to help you drive it on the track. Yeah, I did it, and I looked over and it was 183 on the speedometer. I was squealing for my mother. So we're going to give that away today. But before we do, Trish, will you talk to us about what you have for us today?
Yes.
And by the way, can we thank her profusely for lunch? Firehouse subs are just the best.
Yes, definitely.
So we are so thankful for
And we're
that.
always happy when they come on time too. Last time we said you guys after the meeting, but glad you enjoyed. So Trisha with Residential Inspector of America. It's good to see you all again. I hope you're having a great summer. We appreciate supporting your efforts so much in your office. I can't tell you enough. Today I'm just going to be very brief. I'm going to give you 2 websites. I know you guys are eating, but if you have the capability to write it down, pen, paper, or you have your electronic gadget, that would work too. So the first website is our company website. So that is going to summarize everything instead of me sitting up here and going on and on. If you just visit the website, you will find information about our company, how long we've been in business. It's been over 30 years. We've done over 65,000 inspections. You'll see all that information on our website, our inspectors as well. That website is www.residentialinspector.com. Again, www.residentialinspector.com. And the second website I'd like to share with you is a website we devised for agents only. So this is really cool. It's just for you guys. It's an agent resource website. You can find a labyrinth of information on there just in general about inspections. It will educate you profusely if you go on there. It has live videos from our inspectors. We also have our protection information on there. So we do have a free 90-day warranty program that comes with every complete home inspection that RIA does. And we also have an 18-month extended home warranty that is available for your clients once they do the complete home inspection. So basically, that gives your client 6 months free on a traditional 12-month warranty. The warranty itself is rather robust. We of course are not the underwriters. Residential Warranty Services, RWS, is the underwriter. They have an E+ rating, Better Business Bureau, the license in all 50 states, so you can be very comfortable about that warranty offered. That website is www.riahelpsagents.com. Again, www.riahelpsagents.com. So I hope you all visit and enjoy the site. I'm going to ask 2 questions. If anybody can reiterate one of the websites back to me. Starbucks gift cards on the table. Yes, sir.
RIAHelpsAgents.com.
You got it. You got it.
Cornell's on a roll. He's going to win a Bold Scholarship too, right?
That's awesome.
We're putting that out in the universe, right,
That is
Cornell?
awesome.
We're going to win a Bold Scholarship.
It's a little early in the game for me to present our offerings for Bold, but we are going to be sponsoring Bold. Probably will be through this year. It may be, but it's not concrete or cemented yet. But we're talking to Stephanie about 2 half scholarships.
Oh, that would be awesome.
That'd be
Thank
awesome.
But details will follow, and it's not concreted yet, but it's in the works. Okay, second website. That was the RIA Helps Agents website. Does anybody know the company website that I said? Yay!
Hey, Joanne.
Residentialinspector.com.
You got it. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I hope you visit the website. Thanks. Thanks for having.
Thank you, and thank you again for a wonderful one. We love some
welcome.
subs.
I
The
hear
Firehouse
the
subs.
munching going
Hey
on.
Mario, can you hit the air conditioning for me? right behind you there, dear. Charlie?
Hey guys, this is my cue. I'm Charlie Pollard. There's my contact info up there. Please feel free to write it down because I'm honored to be a resource for you guys for anything that you think I may be able to help you with. I'm a closing attorney, and I'm going to talk to you today about power of attorneys. Summertime, people are out of town. It's usually more on the seller side, but buyers do it too. And I get a couple emails or phone calls every week this time of year saying, what do I do? So on the buyer side, you have to remember that it's really in the lender's court to be able to approve that. Every once in a while, a lender will just not allow a power of attorney. It's kind of rare, but it is a possibility. So if you've got a buyer or a deal coming up, and somebody's going to be out of town, first thing in your light bulb needs to go off. I need to check with my loan officer to make sure it's even a possibility. It probably is, but it might not be. Obviously, the attorney needs to know that as well. Because sometimes the lenders will have their own forms that they'll have to use, and you can't just show up the day of the closing and say, hey, my wife is signing for the husband. So that's on the buyer side. On the seller side, it's a little more common. I get a lot of emails when people say, I've got a property that's about to go. I'm about to list it, but I know my seller's going to be out of town for the next 3 months. Well, we can go ahead and prepare a power of attorney for a seller before you even have a contract. And I'm happy to do that for you guys, even if the deal doesn't end up with us, with MMH. So if you know that a seller, or you know that somebody that's going to be on a listing is going to be out of town, feel free to reach out to me and I can help you guide you through that so you can go ahead and be set up before you even have a contract. A couple little things about sellers that are going to be out of town though. That's really in the ball. The lender doesn't have anything to do with that. It's really just the attorney that needs to handle that because essentially the lenders don't care if the seller signs the power of attorney. If a seller is going to be out of the country, it gets a little more complicated. And this time of year it happens. So if you know that your seller is going to be out of the country, go ahead and get the POA done before they leave. Because all they need to do is get a witness and notarized and the original back to the attorney. If your seller is already out of the country, what happens, and this happens every once in a while, what happens is they actually have to go to a U.S. consulate office in the country that they're at because they actually have U.S. notaries there. Some countries you can walk in. If you're in the UK, you really, in my experience, you can just probably walk in or call ahead. If you're in some far-flung place in, East Asia or something like that, you might have to call ahead and get an appointment that could be weeks out. So just know that when sellers are out of the country, it gets a little more complicated. You got to get way out ahead of that. It's doable, but it takes a little forethought. That's all I've got today. But feel free to give me a call anytime.
Thank you, Charlie, for taking care of us all the time. We have plenty of seats. We've got 2 over there, 3 right there, a couple right there. So you guys who are standing there in the back room, work your way to the front.
Good morning, everybody. Jim Heitzer, Joe Travato, Will Jenkins. Just want to add something to Charlie's thing on power of attorney. We have our power of attorney form. It's specific to that transaction. So it will have the property address, and it will have the date and the amount. Sometimes families have a power of attorney. It's not good in a situation like this. So as Charlie says, make sure you're speaking to both of us, or your lender and us, and them on that situation. With that, I'm going to let Joe take over for a couple of minutes and speak.
All right. First of all, good morning, everybody. Thank you for having us again. We love being here. Every time I walk in the door and I see the sign where it says win-win, I know I'm home. And
we hope
being
so.
here. Okay, so let's talk about interest rates real quick, right? The Fed's going to basically planning on raising interest rates at least 2 more times this year and maybe 3 more times next year. But what does that mean to everybody in this room as far as mortgage interest rates? The mortgage interest rates have actually stayed pretty good. They stayed pretty flat, right? Now, the National Association of Mortgage Bankers published last week that they said every quarter point in interest rate for mortgages for a buyer at $300,000 price point diminishes $10,000 to $15,000 in purchasing power, right? Think about that.
Say that again. Do it again just a little bit slower.
Every quarter point hike in interest rates is equated to $10,000 to $15,000 diminished, lowered purchasing power. In other words, if your buyer is qualified at $300,000 and rates move another quarter, if the max is $300,000, goes up a quarter, well now they're only qualified for $285, right?
Wow.
So think about that for a second. So interest rates are going to become a big part of what's going to happen between now and the end of the year and into next year, right? So we, as experts, we're always watching everybody's interest rates. So I have great news for you. This morning, I priced the top 20 lenders, and we at CBC National Bank are 25 basis points, a quarter point in rate better than the following list: Southeast Mortgage, FNB, Shelter, Supreme, Movement Mortgage, Fidelity. Well, Fidelity were only an eighth better, they do a pretty good job. Wells Fargo were 3/8 better than. Loan Depot were a half a point better than. Quicken were a half a point better than. And State Bank were a half a point better than. Right? So we're at, today, on a $300,000 loan with a good score, we're at 4.5. They're all at 4 3/4 or higher. Right? So the benefit that Robin and the leadership put us in place here, that's a huge benefit for you guys. Look, we're here to be in your service, right? And if we can help in any way, that's just one example of how we can help your buyers have more purchasing power. Plus, we're experts.
Indeed.
That's all I got.
So does that math stay consistent? Like at 300,000, can I do the same math with at 150, or does if things change?
It's half, yeah, and 150 it's half. At
So all the
600
math
it's
stays
double.
consistent.
It's basically right, yeah. You know, so.
Any other questions for the experts? Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, everybody.
So, get out your pencils or your phones so you can put some dates in your calendar. First of all, the second quarter stats, I'm going to do them here next Wednesday, 11:30. Here, next Wednesday, 11:30. That's all the stats from second quarter and year to date. Some movement you will see, you will want to see, that will be beneficial to you for your listing presentation and how to teach buyers to win in our market. You'll need some of these slides, so you don't want to miss that presentation. On Monday at 2 o'clock Eastern time, I want to point out that Keller Williams Realty International is doing some live streaming. And next Monday is Kent Temple, which he's been in our market center a couple of times. But his claim to fame is how he touches his database. And raise your hand if the majority of your business comes from your sphere of influence. Raise your hand. Okay. Those of you who raised your hand will not want to miss. It's live streamed. You can do it from anywhere. But we'll have it running live here. Diana Kokoska is actually going to interview Kent on how he works with his database. And it should be a great opportunity for you to learn. And then Friday, as in day after, yes ma'am.
What was the time on Monday?
2 o'clock. It's live streamed. And I've looked everywhere, and if you found it, and I'm just blind Barnabas today, tell me. I can't find where they've recorded the ones that they did on Monday. Has anybody found those? I don't know that they're there yet. If they have. But if anybody wants my notes, I'm going to put on Facebook because I took pretty copious notes. I'll put on Facebook. If you want my notes, just respond to my text and I'll get them to you. Because I did take some pretty good notes from this past Mondays, and it was very good. Friday at 1 o'clock, I saw Terrence Mayo in the room. Wave at us, Terrence. Everybody knows who you are. Terrence is a master of prospecting, and his forte is for sell by owners and expired listing. So he's going to teach 7 steps to list for sell by owners and expired on Friday at 1.
Yes.
Correct? Awesome. So stats meeting, then we've got a great class on Thursday morning tomorrow with our attorneys on contracts. So got that?
3 hours free.
Oh, the most important part, 3 hours CE credit tomorrow morning.
Same thing next week.
Same thing next week. That's pretty awesome. Beltline tour. Those of you who are going with us on the Beltline tour need to be here in the morning, no later. 8:45. Yeah, who said ouch? Who said ouch? Come on. We're going to have the grandest time. They're going to pick us up here. so we don't have to go way down in South Atlanta. They're going to actually pick us up here. And Steve that did our team meeting a couple of weeks ago is going to be with us on the bus. We're going to have lunch. We're going to stop at one of the parks and have lunch. So fun. And we'll be back here at 1 o'clock. So if you've already signed up, we have a waiting list. If you're not going to go, please let us know, because we do have a waiting list of people who want to do that. Okay. We're going to give away, and Andy, I'm going to let you draw.
Great.
Okay, let me tell you what we did. We are passionate around here about people building their downline, because we don't want the last income they have to be the last house they sold. So we had a little contest, and people who gave us referrals, and we were able to make an appointment with those people and actually get them into the market center for an appointment, they got a ticket. And if they got a market share agent, meaning they had at least one listing and had done at least 500,000 in GCI, that'd be cool. In volume, they got 3 tickets. If they got a mega agent here, which one of our agents did, Dan Reed came coming, they got 5 tickets. And this person's going to get to go drive the Porsche with a motorcycle driver instructor, and that's compliments of CBC. Hey, tell us, do you know about, he's racing and it'll be on television Sunday, our driver?
On Saturday.
Oh, it's on Saturday.
Yeah, he's racing in Utah.
He's racing in Utah, but he's also the Porsche instructor. So that's who we're going to get to teach us about that. So draw us a name out there, Andy.
All right. Boom.
Ah, Karen Smythe. Is she in the room? She is in the room. Okay, and she brought Brandy Washington. So that is pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
Have to be here to win.
Say that again.
Don't you have to be here to win?
Yeah, she's probably out recruiting another one.
No, she's hanging out with celebrities.
Oh, she's hanging out with celebrities?
Yeah, it's all over Facebook.
Oh gosh.
Absolutely.
Am I gonna be a proud team leader or not so proud?
I don't know.
No, we don't know Karen's mood today. I can't tell you how excited I am to have with us today 3 wonderful gentlemen. 2 of them I am just meeting, but one has stolen my heart several years ago, and that is Andy Bond. And Andy started his real estate career as a buyer's agent, and he grew in that role till he's now a partner in his team. And his team does last year over 200 transactions. Average days on market was 18, and that's in Chattanooga, Tennessee, by the way. They're a little bit behind us. And their list to sell price ratio is over 98%. And now Andy leads the team in daily operations, and Andy is also listing specialist. So I've asked him to come today to share with you all, and I'm telling you, you're in for it. You better get your pens and pencils out, because you'll want to take some good notes. We have some handouts. You tell us when you want us to hand those out, and we will do that for you. But buckle up. This is going to be so fun. Andy.
Thank you, Robin. Well, I'm excited to be here. My adrenaline gland is going a little bit, so my mouth's going to get dry. So I would love to get a bottle of water because it's a guarantee that I'm going to start coughing pretty soon. So let me just give you a real short background on Robin and I's connection. So Robin was team leader in Chattanooga when I got into the real estate industry, and she really took an interest in me, and she stuck with me actually through thick and thin, and here's what I love about Robin. She's in the top 1% of her profession, okay? Top 1%. And she has the highest level of competency. That's one reason I respect Robin, but the other reason is she cares for people and she takes an interest and she is really interested in people thriving, not just in real estate, but in work-life balance. And yeah, and so I'm really excited to be here. I brought a little video just for nostalgia for Robin, and I wanted to ask
This could get scary.
real quick. How do I mirror my
Hey, James Farron over here.
And I'll keep talking while we figure that out.
Say he knows all.
He's on the plane.
I know he is.
Robin, I don't think you can mirror it, Tony.
Say it again.
Technology, you can't do that, Tony.
What are your guys making?
But I can email you the video,
Okay.
and you can just blast it up there.
Yep.
That'll work just fine.
Our techie person on a plane.
Sorry, not me. I had a lesson on this yesterday.
Yeah, just 10 seconds here.
Shut up.
Hey, while I'm doing this too, I just want you to know that I take your time here very seriously. Real estate is a very invasive industry, and time is very precious. So I know some of you right now have a deal blowing up in your face, and you're stressed out about it. And I just want you to know, like, I take that seriously, and I'm really confident you guys are gonna, get some good takeaways. So, boom. Okay, what email address?
Dory Hicks, DORI, HRCKS, @KW.com.
Do you want us to give out the handouts? while
Yes,
we're
please.
waiting?
That'd be great.
Are they the same?
Two different, two each.
Yeah.
All right.
Is this different from that one yesterday?
Yep, there it is. Scroll down to the bottom. Blow it up a little.
Good, how are you?
You might need to download it.
Yes, thank you.
You are?
Okay.
Look at that. Real green right there.
Very green. So this was, I jumped in, got some camera equipment, which I'm awful about, and took this in the basement of a buddy's house, but go ahead and play it.
Well, anybody have a board? James, you need, I don't see the arrows, the arrows. Hold on.
Are we missing sound, or is
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
We're just missing everything right now. It's connected to the training room.
So sorry.
Oh, you're fine. This is really my fault. There were 2 wrecks on the way in, which y'all are used to, but kind of rolled in at the last second.
It's trying. It's not doing.
I think it's trying to stream it, and if you download it, Funny thing is, I have a degree in telecommunications, and I was afraid to come over here.
Please don't, because I don't, obviously.
Okay, I'll give you, while they're loading that, take a look at your sheet.
First,
Pre-call? Yeah, pre-call. So, I heard about Terrence. Is Terrence in here, the for sale by owner? So, are you going to live stream that, by the way?
We can do that.
Man, I'd love that. So, I just want to be clear, I don't take myself very seriously, okay? I feel like I'm a work in progress. I've sprinted hard, come slamming down on my face many times in this industry. And so I'm not up here to pretend like I'm an expert in everything. One thing I'm definitely not an expert in is for sale by owners and expireds. And I would love to hear more about Terrence Scripps. So, how many of y'all have gotten a phone call from an investor or even just a regular seller, and here's the message. Hey John, hey, we're interested in selling our home. We really don't want to like put it on the market, but if you have any buyers, could you let me know, and because we could work something out. How many of you have gotten calls like that? Raise your hand. Okay. What's even worse is when it's an investor, right? Because you're thinking to yourself, okay, I gotta kind of sweep my relational sale under the carpet because it becomes all about the numbers, and you might be a little intimidated because it's like, oh, I don't really want to, get into that. And so what you wind up doing is you smile and you nod. They call and you're like, yeah, sure, I'll keep it in mind. And how often do you sell those types of properties when an investor calls and you actually get a buyer and make money off of it, off of a phone call like that? Raise your hand. So when someone calls you and they want you to pocket listing their home, how often do you actually pull that off?
Never.
Right. Do you guys, let me ask you, why do you think that is? Marketing, absolutely. We're going to talk a lot about that. Why else?
Hey, I'm going to make a recommendation.
Yes.
Just play it on the laptop here. I know it's not the perfect thing in the world, but for time's purposes, I think. Just
Okay.
play it here, hold it up.
Okay, great.
It actually is a pretty great video. So
Okay.
I just don't think we can wrestle all day. So.
All right.
Yeah.
is this a waste of time?
Yeah. So, yes, marketing, waste of time. It is a waste of time.
Complete waste of time.
It's a complete waste of time. So, here's what I'm bringing to the table today. There's a lot of things I don't know about. I know how to talk to investors, and I don't judge them for being the way they are, okay? Investors invest to make money, right? And so I'm going to play a voicemail that I got this week that I thought was pretty timely. This is not a made-up voicemail. This is a voicemail that, and I'll pass this phone around if it's not loud enough. But this was this week. Turning this all the way up.
We'll be really quiet.
Yeah.
Oh, here.
Definitely not training on technology expertise today, huh?
Hey man, that's one. I hope you're doing well. By the way, I'm very impressed with your organization. Having callback time, but I actually start doing that myself. Anyway, wanted to let you know that Peter and I are interested in selling two of our properties. I think the one in
So yeah, that was this week. And it caused me to pause because how often when I'm running and gunning, I won't take the time to do it right, because it takes some kind of preliminary planning, it takes thinking through and thinking through their mindset. But I'm going to pause, show you this video, and we'll jump right back in. This was for Robin. This is, I'm 37, got into the industry just as I was like 29.
Okay, say congratulations on pursuing your home. Thank you so much for signing up on our market leader. I'm Andy Bond with the Me Team, where it's all about me and not about you. We're not interested in your needs or wants. We're interested in making as much money as possible. Honesty is our primary focus. See, many realtors out there, they try to manipulate you and lure you in. We just want to be honest and direct with you up front. We're not interested in your needs and wants. We're interested in what we call a deal. Dollar bills. We objectify you. We make sure that when we write you down on a piece of paper, we name you by how much money we're going to make on you. If you're interested in an honest realtor, please work with the Me Team, where it's all about me and not about you. Turn it off, Drew.
So, I shared that video to make Robin laugh and just kind of reminisce on Chattanooga, but also I want you to know there was a season in my real estate career where I was saying that tongue-in-cheek, but there was a lot of truth behind it, and I was running real hard, and I kind of wound up in the street with tire marks over my face in terms of the work-life balance, and I had to hit the reset button, and Robin was, kind of involved in a very generous way during that time, and so I'm sharing that for two reasons. One is scripts are not about smoke and mirrors. They're not, okay? They're about getting into the mind of that particular client and really seeking to understand first, because you're not going to pull someone out of their court and mindset and into yours until you actually take the time to think through how they think. You're just not going to do it. And so you have to approach script practice not as smoke and mirrors. It's actually the search for the truth. And it's not on the surface, and you got to take a little extra time and think through it and then practice it. But I'm telling you, it pays off in dividends. And if you take the time to do it with other talented agents in your office, it makes all the difference in the world. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share that, because this isn't about manipulating investors to list with you. This is about leading your investors to make a better decision. And the better decision is not to pocket list it, but to market it publicly, and we're going to get into the details, for a 6% commission, not a 3% commission. We're going to kind of flesh that out. So Ethan and Joe were kind enough to drive up at the crack of dawn with me, and they have very busy schedules, and role play with me a little bit. And so, can y'all roll your seats up here, and grab these. So Ethan, you're an investor. Call me and leave me a message.
Hey Andy, it's Ethan. I'm not sure if you remember me. You helped my wife and I and my business partner Joe purchase an investment property, Airbnb, over in St. Elmo a few years ago. Wanted to run it by you, see if you had any buyers that would be that are interested in that, and you know, just give me a call back. See if that fits the bill. Thanks.
Ring, ring.
This is Ethan.
Ethan, it's Andy Bond. Thank you so much for calling, man. We would love to help you sell that property. I know it's a work day and you're real busy, so I'll be brief, but I just have a couple questions for you. Out of curiosity, what prompted you right now to go ahead and offload your business?
Yeah, man. So last week, the wife and kids, we all went down to visit her family in Daytona Beach, and we kind of fell in love with the place. It was nice having family that close, and really, we're just interested in moving down there. And I think selling this place is going to make that happen.
Okay. Okay. What do you think it's going to take in terms of money and to make that happen?
Yeah. So we've been talking, and it seems like at this point, really all we're going to have to do is sell this property, and the savings that we have built up and the cash stream from the other investments is going to take care of the rest.
Okay, great. Great. Remind me, who's part of your LLC again? I remember, is there another partner in your LLC?
Yes. Joe Hendricks is
okay.
The other partner.
Cool. And he's on board with offloading your asset?
Yeah. He's on board.
Okay. So let me get this straight. Are you guys going to divide the proceeds when you sell the Airbnb?
We are. That's the plan.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, it sounds like we need to meet.
Yeah, I don't know what you had in mind. I'm swamped this week, man, and I know I might be able to pull off like a conference call where we can get into more details over the phone, but I can't make an in-person meeting this week.
I totally understand. I just business owner to business owner. I don't know about you, but sometimes when people cancel appointments, I'm relieved, right? So I value your time, Ethan. I definitely need to meet up with you, and actually Joe too. What's Joe's number? Can you share Joe's number?
Yeah, well, Joe kind of gave me the reins to run with this. He's even busier than I am, believe it or not. So I think it'd be best if we just handled it amongst ourselves.
Okay, totally understand. Now, you kind of hesitated a little bit when we talked about Joe's side of things. I'm not sure. You know, is he excited about selling the Airbnb?
No, but you know, he understands my family's, you know, and that my motivations for moving, and so he's okay. We go way back, so we've got a good relationship.
Okay. Well, it's really important for me to keep that business relationship healthy, and I want you to know that my goal is to help y'all offload this asset for the highest possible proceeds so that when you divide that, you're going to have enough money to buy your beach house in Daytona. So in order for me to do that, I do need to walk through the property with you, be really brief. So would you be open to that?
Well, you know, I would, but you know, it's an Airbnb, and it's absolutely booked the rest of summer. Yeah, so it's going to be, we really can't get in there.
Sure, I get it. So when does your cleaner clean your Airbnb?
Yeah, so they're, you know, sometime between 12 and 2 usually.
Perfect. Lunch appointment, I'd love it. Listen, I'll be happy to scoot in there with your cleaners and sneak in again really, really quick. And I'm happy to call Joe for you.
Well, again, dude, I don't know. We're super busy. I'm busy. Joe's busy. And you sold us the place like last year. I mean, you remember, right? Do you really need to get in there?
I do. I need to get in there. And here's why. So, if you're going to partner with me to sell this, I need to get excited about it.
You'll need to listen to this part right here.
I need to get excited about it, and me clicking on your Airbnb photos, which by the way, we need to talk about that, but me clicking through your Airbnb photos, it's not going to allow me to create a story and cast a vision train my team on it, prospect, based on that vision, and be able to, really get clarity on the numbers. Because I just need to see all the nuances of the property, and the last thing you want me to do is do this halfway. So I'd love if we could just meet up at noon while your cleaners are there.
Gotcha. Okay, do you know of any buyers? Do you have anybody off the top of your head that would, so we could quiet sale it?
Sure. Well, I mean, we just started talking about this, Ethan. I don't know if you know this, but you bought it last year. The market has been ramping up aggressively. I'm actually excited to sell your property at this stage in the market because we're overdue for an adjustment. I really think you can pull your assets and equity out at the peak of the market. And so to flippantly say I have a buyer right now without getting into the details, no, I don't have a buyer. I have a sphere of 6,000 people that I talk to regularly, but we need to meet in order for me to put a marketing strategy together that's going to help you net the highest possible proceeds.
All right, you got me, dude. But before I hang up, can you send me a net sheet that I can take a look at before we meet?
I'm actually glad you brought that up, because I was going to ask you, what do you think, just off the cuff, what do you think you can sell it for? Do you have a gut?
Yeah. So Jess and I have been looking online on Zillow, and we've been talking around the neighborhood. I know one just down the street sold for like $390, and it's crap compared to ours. Ours is more updated, so we're thinking like somewhere around 400 to 410, somewhere in there.
Great. Is Joe on board with that? Just out of curiosity, have you guys talked about that?
We have not talked about that.
Okay, great. Here's what I'd love to do. I'd love to meet with you and Joe at the property. In order for me to put the final touches on that price point, I don't want to just send numbers to you flippantly. I need to see the property to really get clarity on what we can net out of the home. And so if it's all right with you, I think we'll go over the marketing strategy and numbers with Joe, because I think he'd be interested in seeing too.
Yeah, I think you would too. All right. Yeah,
but maybe object to it.
Okay.
Time.
Yeah. There's really nothing. You can't give me anything. Any sort of numbers?
What's your concern, Ethan? I sense help me understand. My commitment is to do this all the way and to do it accurately and with confidence, and to just throw some numbers your way and then have you discuss it with Joe without me kind of giving the full picture of the market. I'm concerned to do that. So, but it seems really important to you. So tell me more about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of it's an expensive place, and we're trying to move. The places we've been looking at down in Daytona are going for $500 all day, and that's for like a studio on the beach. Sure. So we're looking at something where the four of us can move into. So I'm just trying to, honestly, I want to be able to make as much money, and for myself, for my family, for Joe's half, so every bit of money that we can squeeze out of this, I'm trying to make the most of my money.
Great. It's my job to come alongside you and help you fulfill those goals. I still don't understand why you need to see numbers before we meet. Can you help me with that?
No.
So remember the objection of I don't want to look like Joe's going to expect me to be prepared because I've taken the reins. And if I don't see, you know what I mean? So go ahead and
I got you. Yeah, so I mean, if I'm going to be presenting this to Joe and calling him in a few minutes, I want to be able to at least have something that I can take to him, since he gave me the reins. He's allowing me to run this. I don't want to look like an idiot.
Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate you being candid with me. As I said, your business relationship with Joe is my top priority to keep it vibrant and healthy all the way through the consummation of you guys pulling your equity out of the asset. And so I will make sure that Joe knows we had a long, detailed conversation, and that you really gave me a lot of insight into what y'all are trying to accomplish, and I'll make it really clear that you're not coming unprepared. Is that fair?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Great. Okay. So, any questions about that?
Aha.
Recalls, ahas.
Well, it was apparent that he probably hasn't really even talked to Joe, and that Joe needs to know, and he's really reluctant to bringing him up to speed. I mean, you kept digging and digging and digging. I don't think he still gave you enough information to say, to at least make you comfortable that Joe is really in on it. It might be like under the table kind of thing.
Did anybody count how many times he gave you an objection?
No, it was probably close to 6.
It was probably 6 or 7?
Yeah.
I stopped at 5.
I got it.
Okay. What did Andy do every time?
Asked another question.
He asked another question.
Dug deeper.
Let me tell you one. I'm sorry to interrupt your program, but this is huge, and you'll probably learn something from it too. On Monday's live streaming from Keller Williams Realty International, Diana Kokoska said, if you don't know her, you need to. She said that you should at least, she said most sellers that she's ever had will give you, and you probably know this too, 3 objections and they'll quit. Very few go beyond 3. She said the most she's ever had is 5. Okay? So that would be an extreme scenario. So her point is you don't leave there until you overcome that objection and you get the listing signed. And she said her daddy told her years ago that that seller has your money in their pocket. It's the seller's got that money in their pocket, and if you get that listing, that's your money, correct? Don't leave there until you've got your money. So no matter how many objections they give you, come back. It would have been real easy for a REAP agent somewhere in that conversation to fold and go, correct?
Yep.
And it would have been real easy for a busy agent to never make that phone call back. You see? You see how he's turning that from something that, quite honestly, the majority of us would flip off. The minute we heard quiet, we'd flip that off, wouldn't we? Put it in the lowest pile we've got. Watch how he turned it into a $400,000 listing. That's how much money at 3% commission. That's 12. That's 12,000. We can do that math. That you just got out of their pocket and into yours. So think about it as they've got your money in their pocket, and you want your money.
That's excellent. That's excellent. And yes, Terrence.
This could be a physical call, an expired call. This could be any kind of conversation with any buyer or seller.
Yeah.
So that, obviously you did a great job of acknowledging his concerns or questions up front, or his objections. So you acknowledge that. Thank you for sharing that. It means a lot to me that you told me how you felt. And then you dug deeper. You peeled the onion. You isolated the objection, as Robin said, to overcome that. I've also heard that we are paid to the proportion of the questions that we ask. So if you only ask a couple questions, you're probably not going to get paid very much. But if you ask more questions and deeper probing to the point questions, you're probably going to get paid a lot more. So just keep that in mind.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Because here's the bottom line. It is about relationship even with investors. Y'all need to be in the mindset that if you're not a leader, in other words, like if you don't have the ability to influence somebody to the point where they have one mindset and a perspective, and in a non-judgmental way, pull them out of their court into yours, you're gonna end up in the street with tire marks over your face. And I am a testament to that. And so leaders initiate. This industry is not easy. It's a hard industry. but it's an incredible, guys, I don't know about you, but like, I love real estate because it's a diverse asset. Like Airbnb's popped out the last 5 years. Like that's a new, think about that asset, that aspect of real estate. Like a real estate asset that acts as a business, that is flexible, you know, and so it is about commanding respect. And I don't know if y'all have ever heard of John Maxwell, but he's a leadership guy, and he talks about the 5 levels of leadership. And that initial phone call, you're at the position level. Like they have to call you. They have to, because they can't sell it themselves. And so your relationship capital and your ability to win them over, improve your expertise starts to pull them out of their court into a respect level where they'll actually let go of their mindset and embrace yours. And that takes, you know, thinking through the mind of whatever listing that you're trying to pursue. As Terrence said, that takes getting into their mind and being ready to handle those objections.
Let me point out one more thing, which I'm sure many of you saw. Andy's got his papers in his lap. Did you see him reading from those? He'd look down every now and then and grab a little snippet, but reading from them, no. Did it sound like a script or a conversation? A conversation. Was he saying the most or asking the most? Asking the most.
It's interesting because we practiced this, you know, on the way up. And so we've gone through this now 4 or 5 times. I don't think he's ever used the same order of words one time. Not one time.
But he knows what he wants to do.
But he knows what he's wanting to do, and he's slowly leading Ethan to where he wants him to go. And one thing I picked up too is Ethan's going. He's rising up with his objections. He's coming to the end of himself. He has nowhere else to go.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And rightfully so, because he's making decisions out of fear, right, or anxiety. And we're not attacking Ethan. We're trying to get the fear out of the way. That's what the overcoming objection is all about.
And what's the big deal about why they need to meet? Why do they need to meet?
Connection.
He has to change his mind. He has to change his mind from being a quiet listing or a pocket listing. He has to get him to think differently. And you cannot have influence. How many times have I preached this sermon to you? You cannot have influence with a text and things like that, emails. You have to see somebody eyeball to eyeball to have influence with a human. It's not, I'm sorry, it's your class, I'll shut up.
The whole point of that was meet. I want all of the decision makers looking me in the face, and I am not going to get into the weeds because it's about to get hard. Like, that was the easy part. Wait till this jerk Joe shows up who doesn't even want to sell the property. Okay, so that was the easy part.
No idea how I got labeled for this role.
So anyway,
talk to you on the way home.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is there's no way. It's like you said, it's a waste of your time if you can't. I'm going to have to convince them not to, because I know when I get a voicemail that I showed you that he's thinking 3% commission. I just know that.
That you assumed that.
Yeah, I know.
But that's the way it works.
I'm just assuming that he's thinking.
How many of you have assumed that?
Yeah, half the work.
How many times when you assumed it wasn't true? Yes,
yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to convince Joe, who isn't even really interested in selling a vibrant Airbnb, to pay extra commission. And that's going to take a face-to-face, bottom line. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So now it's going to get harder. So, all right. So now jumping into this, I immediately want to go for Ethan's motivation first and get him talking on it, just to reiterate.
So are you at the meeting now?
Yes.
Okay.
So, Joe, do you want to pull up a little closer?
No.
Okay. Wants to be a jerk, I love it.
I plan to get some award out of this. So.
Yeah, okay, good. So, all right. So, Ethan, Joe, thank you so much for meeting me here. You know, as I said on the phone, it's my goal to get both of y'all to net the maximum amount of money out of your assets. And I know how important that is to you. Ethan, just real quick, how's it going with, you know, looking for property in Malibu?
Daytona Beach, yeah.
Daytona Beach.
That's it, yep.
Yeah.
It's a little more expensive than we were thinking.
Okay.
But it's cool. It's exciting. It's new.
Did you mention your wife had family down there?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was fun.
Okay. Cool. Joe, I haven't had a chance to really dig in. How are you? What are you thinking about selling this asset?
Look, I'm just being frank here. I did not get into this for a quick run, but Ethan and I have a very healthy friendship, so I'm not going to stonewall him. So look, I just want to get, I'm not interested in a bunch of rah-rah here. Okay, I want to get it done quickly and efficiently, and if we can do that, that's fine.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing. If at the end of this story, you were walking away with, the best case scenario, what would that be?
Cash in my pocket.
Okay.
It's a secondary goal, but I mean, again, I'm not going to stonewall Ethan in this. We are at odds.
Sure.
I think you probably knew that, or you certainly know it now. But at any rate, look, this is exactly how I see this going. I want to do a pocket listing. I want it done quickly, and again, I don't want the things that are going to piss me off is if this keeps going into this process here.
Sure.
I'm just not interested in that.
Sure. Love that. Thank you so much for making that clear. And actually, Ethan, we had a long conversation because I know that you let him take the reins. That was his mindset too, pocket listing. And I want you to know that I actually agree with you. As a part of a marketing strategy that's going to net you the highest return. And so let's jump right in. We are going to prospect for your property. Our team, we make calls from 8:15 to 10:15 every morning. And before that meeting, we discuss opportunities for investors. And I want you to know that the very first part of our strategy is to hand prospect for you. So thank you for meeting me. One of the reasons why we needed to meet was so I could really get the story and excitement in my mind. And so I'm going to take a quick run through just to kind of wrap my head around it, and we'll jump right back in.
Great.
So honestly, that was a mistake. If I would have launched right into the marketing, I wouldn't have gone and looked at the house at that point. So just keep that in mind. Here's the deal, guys. Let's talk more about pocket listing. Chattanooga is 178,000 people here. That's the population. There's probably 2,000 realtors. And what is more, we've got Atlanta, an hour 45 minutes away. We've got Nashville. Those are feeders into Chattanooga investment and business. And we need to, in addition to having this as a pocket listing, we'd be doing you a disservice if we didn't re-photograph this and actually launch it on the public market.
What's wrong with the photographs? I don't understand that.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
took them.
Yeah.
I got an iPhone 10, dude.
Yeah, so here's the deal. We have to, if we agree to market this publicly, you yourself could syndicate this online. In fact, you have. It's on the Airbnb website. And any realtor can press a button and syndicate this thing to 70 websites. Here's the problem. The problem is saturation. You have about 1 second to get a buyer's attention. And the photographs, to be candid with you, though they're good, they need a bit of an overhaul in order to capture somebody's attention in 1 second. So, would you agree?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, we're going to need to market this publicly, guys, because even though we do have a very large sphere, and there is the possibility that we can pull an investor out of that, I'd be lying to you, and I'd be making a grandiose statement to say I can get you all of the top buyers who are looking to buy a business, because that's really what you're selling, and we'll get into that later, the phone to 5,000 people. It's not going to happen. And especially given the fact that you have to divide your proceeds, we're going to have to push the envelope on the market. We're going to have to sell this risky high. And so I want to have options to pick an offer that may not have an appraisal contingency. That's just a cash buyer who's buying a business. You've got the stats, it's doing well, and they're willing to pay a significant amount above market value. And in order to do that, we're going to have to launch it publicly. Any questions about that?
Makes sense to me. I don't know about Joe.
Look, Andy, I think you're a bright dude. Okay, I do. Clearly, you have. I don't want to insult your intelligence here. Okay, I actually value you in this process, and I also don't want you to think I'm a pompous ass, which I think you probably think I am. At the end of the day, without exception, you're of the opinion that taking this to market is going to generate more revenue and the revenue that it has to make up versus doing it at a pocket listing at 3%. That's what you're telling me.
Without a doubt.
And you have no equivocations about whether that's going to be the case.
None. None.
Okay, I'm in.
Bam.
All right, so let's pretend I had a net sheet. Let's just pretend that these are net sheets. So here's where the look at the objections at the bottom. 6% commission, is going to be number one, and so we're going to kind of run through this again. Oh, I'm sorry. How much time do we have?
I don't even know what time it is.
Okay.
It's 12:36. We've got about 9 minutes.
9 minutes, great, that's perfect. So, remember, there's no way you're going to be able to convince them over the phone without them being together to give you a 6% commission. Okay, and so, and notice that I haven't talked numbers. I've talked marketing strategy, and I'm trying to give them perspective on, really I'm trying to shoot down their pocket listing idea and just force them to believe that it's a stupid idea and that we can't do it, and that they're going to lose money if they do. And so that was step one. Now it's going to get, the rubber's going to meet the road with the net sheet, because on the net sheet it's going to have 3%, and and they're going to have some problems with that. So so here's the net sheet, guys. Joe, You can respond to that.
JJ. What do you think?
What do I think? I'm trying to get my family to Daytona, man. I'm trying to get that beachfront property.
Well, no, don't help me.
Don?
You can be like, I didn't.
I'm not easy guy. I'm not good cop.
Well, you can be good cop. I'm just. Let's be quick. You don't
Yeah.
like 6%
Yeah.
commissions.
Yeah.
I say that.
We do not like 6%.
Okay.
We ain't doing it. We're not doing it.
I love Joe, but the way you said it in the car was awesome. I'm trying to remember, like, you were
I'm
just
not
like,
doing this.
you were like,
I was quick when I was like, no, I see this, we're done. We're done here.
right.
We're not
And
doing this.
You're gonna drive back to the pocket listing for the money's sake. So try to do that. One of you.
Yeah, I'm not doing this. I obviously, again, I told you I don't want to go through this broad process here. Quite frankly, I just don't see this working for our benefit. I see it working for you well,
Sure.
but I don't see it working for me well.
What specifically are you alluding
Well, the
to?
6%.
Okay.
I guess that's the whole point of trying to do this as frugal as possible.
Sure.
And like we've talked before, Andy, the market is completely in favor of sellers here. And as you said yourself, this is a business, so that's in our favor as well. I just don't simply want to do it this way.
Sure. Thank you for sharing that. You are selling a business. And the reason there's 6% commission is we need all the help we can get. And agents in town, agents in Atlanta, agents in Nashville, it's not easy to sell a business. Let me make that clear. You have active bookings on your Airbnb right now that are booked out for 2 months. And we're gonna have to work through the transition because Airbnb is clear. You cannot cancel your bookings due to selling the property. So this is not an easy pocket listing, call my sphere. This is find someone who wants to build a business who's got assets, who doesn't care about appraisal, who's looking at the P&L and seeing how much money they're gonna make off it. And we're trying to get multiple of them to drive the price up. And we can't do that on a 3% commission. This is a full-on marketing strategy that it's going to take to accomplish your goals. And I could smile and nod at you and say, yeah, okay, we'll take 3%. It's not going to work. And it's not about me. Any independent contractor who's going to go out of their way to sell a business when they don't have to, because they could buy a regular house and start an Airbnb. They're going to want to get paid on it, and we're going to have to offer that. And if we want top dollar, we need 6% commission.
So I hear you saying that the competition outside this own market is something that absolutely you can pull in by doing it in this process.
That's right. Yeah. Now I want you to object. I want you guys to object. Like, what if one of my buyer's agents brings it? Then it'll just be 3%, right?
That, yeah.
So just to clarify, like, say we do, market it to everybody in town. We post it on Facebook everywhere with some money behind it, like you said. And one of your agents on your team brings off it. In that case, though, it'll just be the 3%, right?
No, it's still going to be 6%, and here's why. We don't pay salaries. We hire talented leaders who are independent contractors. They come under our umbrella, and they prospect for their own business. And if they do the footwork to get a qualified buyer, I have to pay them what I pay any other professional. So it's still 6%. Questions?
You can use that same script whether you have a team or you don't. I still have to pay the other professionals. no matter what. And you do want them to be excited about your property, right? Yes, then we need to pay them and pay them better. All right, what have you heard today? Overcome objections. Overcome them how many times?
As many
Many as it takes.
As many as it takes. Who's got your money in their pocket?
Seller.
The seller does. What did you hear about mindset?
You want them to be on your side.
Yeah, and you have to do what to get them there?
Understand them.
Understand them. Understand them. And you do that by doing what? Asking more questions than you're talking. Before they leave, what questions do you have for them speaking of questions?
Yes.
Can't you just bring the buyer without having to market my property?
Good
So
one.
then I only have to pay 3%?
Like me personally?
Yeah, that's what the seller is gonna say.
Yeah.
Like, instead of listing it, can you just bring the buyer? Because you
Yeah.
just said you have so many of them.
Yeah. I totally understand where you're coming from. I'd be doing you a disservice to smile and nod and say yes. I'm too limited. Let me just be clear, like, even if I was the mayor of Chattanooga, I don't have enough resources to pull every qualified buyer in the Southeast and drum up and create a demand where you're going to get top dollar. I just can't do it. I need to invite the rest of the community into that process, and I need to do that by taking professional photographs and creating a storyline so that you can get the absolute best price. And I'm telling you, this is about getting you top dollar, and it's going to more than justify an extra 3%.
How many times have you heard him say create a story?
A bunch.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking.
So I want to know, what do you think that means?
A visualization for you to see yourself at that property or own that property.
What's your website where you have all those cool videos?
LiveChattanooga.com.
LiveChattanooga.com. They tell stories of their listings, and it is really good. I remember when they first started that. It is really good. So they have to tell the story. Another thing I think we haven't talked about that he did really, really well was, did you hear him talk about we have to create an environment where we get more than what we're asking for? What's he talking about? Multiple offers. And how do we get those if I'm the only one doing it?
That's right. Here's a great script for investors. This is also going to help with the pocket listing. And you're going to say, look, when we market this publicly, I understand it's an Airbnb, so you're booked, right? I need you to look in your schedule and pick one Sunday. We'll have 1 day of showings, okay? And we're going to have an open house, 2 to 4. And here's why. We want your buyers to be in the mindset of winning, not bargaining. And if they come to the house and it's swarming with people, and we've posted it on Facebook and put money behind it, and there's all kind of, talk going on, and by the way, buyers are more savvy than they've ever been before, because they have more access to information. So they're going to look for you on Facebook, they're going to look for the property, they're going to see what the activity, they're going to be in a winning mindset, and you want them to be, because if they're in a winning mindset, that there's scarcity and they've got to put their best foot forward, that's going to drive your proceeds through the ceiling.
Have any of you all ever been to an auction? Okay, any of you been to an auction and have a competitive spirit like me? I have to win at the auction. I'm just going to win. And so when he says, teaching your buyers how to win and showing them how to win, they're coming to win. You've got multiple things going on. We do get scared we're going to lose, and we'll run quicker not to lose. We'll run quicker not to lose. And we create that by teaching that marketing strategy has to be part of that. I know they've got to run back to Chattanooga. What else did you get? Good? Good? Can you thank them?
Yeah.
for about 5 minutes and you need to talk to them. Thank you guys so much.
It's fun, guys.
Thank
I was locked
Hey, Joe. Very good. You too, man. Yeah, I'm glad you hold our name to high standards. You know, sometimes we have to be a jerk. You know?
Oh, really? That's nice.
That's crazy. That's crazy stuff. I got some
Man, it's like, well,